Yes, 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 it is happy holidays time. And we are here with Book Marathon today, and it is all day long. And we are ready for our next speaker. Guess what? Are you full yet? Because you probably by now, you've probably been looking at probably between 7 to 10 people all day long. But we're not finished. We're hosted by the Prayer Garden of Memphis and Marceline Williams. So here we go. Reverend Dr. Stephanie Michelle Myers Lewis is a licensed ordained Baptist preacher and child of the church. She is a product of Memphis City Schools with Mississippi roots from spending summers with her grandparents. She has served in various ministry positions, including trustee, associate minister, director of Christian education, and director of women's ministry. Reverend Stephanie believes that her greatest gifts in life are her family and friends. Affectionately referred to as the 901 Real Estate Community Pastor. She has served in the real estate industry since 1997. Dr. Stephanie is the broker and owner of Purple Rain Realty LLC, which launched on June 2018. She is a certified Freddie Mac credit counselor and CDPE certified distressed property expert. She is a member of NAR, the National Association of Realtors, NARAB, National Association of Real Estate Brokers, and currently serves as 2024 President of Women's Council of NARAB. Dr. Stephanie's educational background includes 2014 Master of Divinity graduate and 2019 Doctor of Ministry graduate of Memphis Theological Seminary. She attended State Technical Institute, Memphis, with a major in computer programming. University of Memphis with a major in jazz vocal, Baptist School of Nursing, University of Tennessee College of Health Sciences. She is a 2009 graduate of Delta Leadership Institute and 2015 graduate of Harvard University Executive Academy Leadership School. I want you, along with me, to put your hands together and help me bring to the stage Dr. Stephanie Michelle Myers Lewis.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marceline Williams, and the Book Marathon Prayer Garden. I appreciate this opportunity. And I'm going to take about maybe 7 minutes on this Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you all. I love the spirit of Thanksgiving. And we're going to talk about what Thanksgiving means as it relates to my book that we'll be discussing today. So as I always start out as this little Black woman and little Black girl from South Memphis, come celebrate with me, y'all, that every day something tried to kill me and it failed. So happy Thanksgiving. I want to just start off and say who I am. I am Stephanie. People that know me when I was growing up in South Memphis in Westwood know me as Shell. That's who my mom called me, Shell. I'm the middle child of five, three girls and two boys. And I just want to talk about my book, and it's entitled She's Watching. And let me just go ahead and throw out the plug for She's Watching. It's the revelation for the Black church and child sexual abuse. And you can find that on Amazon. It's just $13. It's probably about a sit down 2-hour read, but you have to sit with it. So why did I write this book? I wrote this book as when I was a student at Memphis Theological Seminary. I was supposed to do my doctoral ministry project, and it started off being advocate for young adults. And it changed toward the end, and I had to just revamp and do the whole thing over because God was just ministering to me about my journey in the Black church. And when I talk about my Black journey in the Black church, let me just be clear. I'm like I think somebody said I'm Baptist bred, Baptist fed, and when I die, I'll be Baptist dead. I love my pastor, Pastor Wardell Johnson at Shady Grove Missionary Baptist Church in South Memphis, 1421 Kansas 338-109. I tell you, I needed to hear him preach the word like the air that I breathe to this little 12-year-old girl on a Sunday morning, sitting in the pews, wondering if God was for me, if this Jesus that they proclaimed was for me, or should I go look for someone else? And God made it clear that yes, Jesus is for me. And so when I start wrestling with things that I should advocate with, I had to go back to that little 12-year-old girl who was sitting in the church pews with a secret that a lot of us as little girls actually have sat in on a Sunday morning. When we look at the statistical data as it relates to child sexual abuse, we must understand that 1 in 4 little girls are sexually abused by the time they are reaching the age of 16 or 18 years old. For little boys, 1 in 8 little boys have been sexually abused by the time they reach 16 or 18 years old. These are reported cases. So that suggests to me, or we all should acknowledge that there is a problem. So as we talk about Thanksgiving, and we're so grateful to this God that we serve for this Thanksgiving Day, we must realize that with Thanksgiving comes accountability. And what accountability means is that to whom much is given, much is required. There are a lot of things that we have in our life and they were tests. They become testimonies. We were in a mess and it becomes a message. But we are required to do as Jesus said. He says, as you have done to the least of these, you have done it to me. And these are little Black girls. And so I started talking about all of these things in my D-Men project, Doctors of Ministry project, and I put it in a book. In this book, you will find out that I spoke with a lot of different pastors within the South Memphis area, female and male, and we had conversations about how they actually acknowledged or talked about this high incidence of sexual abuse in their congregations. And my disappointment, I won't say disappointment, and I won't even say surprise, I guess it was disheartening to know that people are still afraid to talk about this thing that happens to little girls all the time. And when we talk about preaching and teaching, especially within a Black church or any church, on any given Sunday, 75% of your congregation is going to be made up of females. And that's probably on a men's day. Most of the people that serve in our churches are women and girls. There's no slight or any hit towards males or anything, but that's just reality. And so should not we be talking about the tragedy and the trauma that little girls experience? There was this adage that I remember somebody asking in a class when it says, where do you think that we find the masses of gifts and abilities or treasure in any given place? And people start saying all these different things. And what the teacher said was, no, it's in the graveyard. Because in the graveyard, you're going to find out those books that were never written, those songs that were never sang, that sermon that was never preached. All of these things we find in the graveyard. And I suggest that on any given Sunday morning, that there is a grave full of gifts and abilities and talents that little Black girls have, but you are not speaking to those gifts. Though the theology that we actually sometimes spread, it's supposed to be a theology and a preaching sermon that's supposed to be freeing, but in some instances, it's damning them to hell. And let me give you a specific example. When I say that, it's because on any given Sunday morning, especially when I was a little girl, we always talk about this thing of purity, sexual purity. When you're not considering this 1 in 4 little Black girls that are probably being molested or abused or something is going on with them, and it was against their body, but it was not their choice. And so did she choose not to be this pure or this purity symbol that you are preaching in the pulpit? You are missing out on a huge segment of your congregation. And so I'm advocating for those little girls because, again, I'm that little Black girl, again, who carries the weight of the world, of the family, of the name of my family, so that, that another Black man will not be destroyed. Because, as Black women, we're always the protective people of the flock, whether it's at the church or whether it's in our house or anybody else's house. We have to keep these secrets. And these secrets are destructive to our little Black girls and little Black boys. And so in this book, again, you will find some testimonies, but you will always find, I'm sorry, on this Thanksgiving, y'all, give me a minute. You will also find that there are some scriptures that I highlight that can help you teach or preach about this. You'll also find that there are some testimonies from little Black girls and adult women that never talked about these issues. And then I just want to read just one excerpt out of here where it says, there are times as a teen and young adult, I was appalled by the hypocrisy and sexist culture of the Black church. While I never remember being angry, I do remember I internalized the feelings of never being able to measure up to the erroneous picture of perfection seemingly personified in Black church rhetoric. The constant reminders of purity and virginity from the pulpit, without the mention of sexual predators that raped the body and choice of a child, was deafening. Then there was this participatory victimization from the congregation to call a teen girl to the front of the church, adding to the burden of silence, a public burden of shame. And we know that happens. So I'm just advocating again for every little Black girl and a little Black boy that needs our voices to stand up and advocate for them in this space and time. It is never too late. So I just want you all to think about that. And on this Thanksgiving, make sure you have conversations with your families. If they're not going to talk about it in church and in the pulpit, which again, that is the largest voice for Black church or Black people, is still in the Black church, regardless of whatever you hear. And this is a grand opportunity for us to talk about what happens when you allow R. Kelly to do what they want to do, or Bill Cosby to do what they want to do, and in this recent P. Diddy to do what they want to do, and you're not saying anything. Just because a person is gifted does not mean that they're not doing something that is destroying the lives of some of the very people that you think they're supposed to be advocating for. So is this again, I'm not calling out the Black church. I'm calling to the Black church in this book to have some conversations so that we can advocate for those who are the least of those. And so on any given Sunday morning, a resurrection message versus a damning theology that relegates the gifts and talents of little girls to hell can be life-giving. Thanksgiving, again, is not just a proclamation, it's an action. The relevance and impact of your preaching, your teaching, and your advocacy is not just what is said, but oftentimes what is not said. Not what is preached on Sunday morning, but oftentimes what is not preached. And Black church has the largest voice, again, regardless of what anybody is saying, to be able to advocate for these children. And so, again, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope you take this to heart. I've been talking to a lot of different people, even this past week, and we talked about things that happened when we were little girls in our communities. And I don't know if y'all just sit down and kind of talk, ask people what happened, even in our little neighborhoods, about going over to some of our neighbors' homes and the dad saying something sexual to the child. And we never said anything because we thought, okay, they just said that. No, but this is not acceptable, and it should not be acceptable. We have to advocate for our children. So again, come celebrate with me on this Thanksgiving. That every day something tried to kill me and it failed. And guess what? I'm so grateful that I'm still here to tell the story and to ask you and to plead with you to make sure that you're advocating for the 1 in 4 and the 1 in 8 little girls and little boys that are sitting in your congregation on any given Sunday morning, that are sitting at your house on any day of the week. This is important. And again, she's watching, tells you how to maybe talk to your children, have family talks about these things, because it's very relevant and urgent and necessary in this space and time. Again, happy Thanksgiving, and thank you so much, Ms. Marceline Williams, for this opportunity. I look forward to speaking with you all about this book soon. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, Dr. Stephanie. As me, myself, I actually was a product of sexual molestation. So
Yeah.
the actual pastors, because I totally agree with you that it is certain topics pastors will not address. And
Yes.
that's definitely one of the topics. So in your book, people will be able to, especially leaders, they will be able to actually pull out the information that they need so they can actually have a conversation with a young man or a young woman that may be dealing with the probably the actual trauma of going through that. And sometimes even someone that has not said anything to anybody, they're still holding it as a secret.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And basically this book, and we know that pastors and preachers are not therapists, but there is some information where you can actually refer them, because we don't specialize in this, but we actually have to address it, because again, who's going to address it? I actually had this conversation with a few pastors, and they said, well, we sometimes address it on a Wednesday night in Bible study, but the majority of your people are there Sunday morning. That's the space where we need to start talking about it, because
Right.
it could be somebody like your minister in music. I'm just being honest because it happens. It could be your youth leader. But if you have stuff in place saying, here, she's watching and he's watching too, making sure we're keeping a guard of our children, because again, so many gifts and talents are being wasted and are getting castigated to uselessness in the pit of hell, because we will not free these children from the mess of hell that is upon them, and they can't, and their voices are muted because of the theology that you're preaching or not preaching. They need our help, our support. They need our voice, our advocacy. It is urgent, especially with this political climate and everything that's coming in to play right now, and trying to relegate us back to 1968, where our voices are muted even more. We as a Black church and Black women have to speak loud, unmute, and turn up the volume. That's all I'm saying.
That is really, really good. Unmute and turn up the volume.
Turn the volume up.
Really, really, really good. So again, you have heard from Dr. Stephanie Michelle Myers Lewis. And the name of her book, She's Watching. Dr. Stephanie, tell them again how they can get in contact with you and how they can purchase the book.
You can purchase the book on Amazon.com. It's $13. If you want to get in touch with me, you can actually DM me on my Facebook page, Stephanie Myers Lewis, and I will respond if you need help with speaking to people about this. This is an urgent matter. We need to have some conversations. I love y'all and happy Thanksgiving. She's watching.
And you heard it. She said she will contact you back. And if you need help or you need someone to actually come in and kind of facilitate while you actually get the word out about making sure your mouth, your voice is not closed, but it's open, because she is an advocate. I'm an advocate, and so many people. It's urgent that we save our children. Dr. Stephanie, thank you so much. Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving. Bye-bye.
Yay!
Take care. Love you. Bye.